Yeah, it looked even worse than it sounds, guys. And so instead of going to eat dinner, we decided we must probably take a side trip to the hospital. And we found, fortunately, God protected all the structure, the muscle, the cartilage, the bone. Nothing was punctured. It was simply the skin had been removed from the front of my nose. And I went to see a plastic surgeon 2 days later. We had a consult while we was in the hospital via phone, and a ear, nose, throat specialist who was there. And they say, he's like, there's nothing we can do bedside right now. There's too much gone. There's too much missing. And so we're going to have to schedule you to see the plastic surgeon in a couple of days. And so we did that, and we went in there. But the morning that I went in there, and Stacey can attest to this, there had been so much growth of new skin overnight, like almost the whole area had been covered with new skin in just 2 days. And then this morning, as we're getting ready, and she's getting ready to do the bandage, she said, your nose almost looks normal. And she didn't mean it looks normal, because it looks pretty funny still, but the depth of the skin has grown out almost completely, even in the really, really deep spots where it was trying to grow, like it looks like it's growing new blood vessels and things. That takes a little longer. But it's almost completely to the shape that it was before. And that is God's blessing.
Yes.
In 1 week. And you say, well, what kind of medicines were you taking? Nothing. I put honey on it for a week. It's medical grade honey, means it's been sterilized, but it's just honey, which God made. But what came out of me at that moment was anger. What was in my heart at that moment? I was tired, I was stressed, all these other things. God was not in my heart at that moment. All the things of the world had overcome me at that moment. And both the dog and I made a really bad decision that took about 3 seconds. Can't blame the dog, he's a dog. So the only one I have to think about is what's in my heart and what came out of my heart. So you got to get it in your heart first in order to get it out of your heart. Am I right?
Yes.
Right. Amen. So let's go to Psalm 15, 1 through 5. Boy, I almost don't feel right calling myself Little David anymore. I'm still Little David. Psalm 15, 1 through 5. For those of you that are not familiar with that story, I'll just tell it to you real quick. I've been in prison before. I spent 15 years there, 10 years of which God called on me to oversee a church in Jackson. And a few years I oversaw a church in Lapeer inside the prison. That's where I met a couple of people that I really am proud of to be friends, and proud to call them friends. And but one particular morning, I had been transferred from one prison to the other, and I had said to God, all right, I'm just going to one service, because I'd been doing 7 days a week, working in the church, every day, doing something. And I said, okay, I was in the choir, I was practically running the choir sometimes, went in between choir leaders and just filling every little spot. Big shock, right, Stacey?
Right.
And I get too busy. And so I said, I'm just going to back off, and I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to one service, and that's it. No choir, no teaching, no nothing. Think God agreed with that decision?
No.
So the very first time I go to a service there, I snuck in with the permission of the officer, but I wasn't technically supposed to be there. And I just kind of sat in a back corner, and there was a partition there, and I sat in the corner by the partition. And before the first song was up, the choir director called me up and pulled me out and said, hey, you come up here and sing with us. And I'm like, oh, fine, I'll come up and sing. And then the minister at that time, Jim Jones, by the way, and he always brought us communion. Drink the juice, I'm not sure. But thank you, Randy, you got it. So, but Jim Jones would come in, and he said, where's that little guy that was up front? And he said, you come up here, because he did a sermon on David and Goliath, and I happened to be little David that day. So, that stuck for a decade afterwards. And so I was little David, and I said, to compare me to a man of God after God's own heart, that's why I still enjoy that nickname. So I probably won't tell you that story again, but now you know it. Psalm 15, 1 through 5. O Lord, who may abide in your tent? Who may dwell on your holy hill? He who walks with integrity and works righteousness and speaks truth in his heart. He does not slander with his tongue, nor does evil to his neighbor, nor takes up reproach against his friend, in whose eyes a reprobate is despised, but who honors those who fear the Lord. He swears to his own hurt and does not change. He does not put out his money at interest, nor does he take a bribe against the innocent. He who does these things will never be shaken. Now, I don't know about you, but I feel like I got tripped up at least a couple of those verses. Like, yep, I guess I don't qualify to be in the tent. But that's not really the point. It's not a judgment here, is it, Dr. King? This is not a judgment. It's what we call a call to action. It says, God said, hey, evaluate what's in your heart. What are you getting into your heart every single day? Are you the type of person who's going to tell a little fib on his neighbor to get your own gain? Oh, I really don't like that maple tree that hangs over my fence, so I'm just going to fudge the property line a little bit so I can chop it down. Maybe not. Maybe it's some other thing. But I'm pretty sure that if I talk about he who walks with integrity, doesn't take me very long to find a spot in my life where I didn't have perfect integrity. Anybody else? That's why God perfects us, is because we're not perfect. And he knows it. He's the author and the finisher. We didn't write it. We didn't produce it. God did. Yes. All we have to do is accept it and use it. So when God tells me, walk with integrity, well, who's the most integrous person that I know? Jesus. So walk with Jesus. Oh, I can do that. When he tells me work righteousness, the works of my hand are as filthy rags, so guess what? I need to figure out a better way. Jesus said,